Okay, today's lesson objective. Students solve consecutive integer problems. So, consecutive integers. Is there anybody that can tell me what the word consecutive means? Yes. Pardon? Repeating? Not quite. Anybody have another idea? Yes, Saxony? One after another. Exactly. So, for consecutive, it just means one right after another. So when we're talking about numbers, consecutive integers, it would be like 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. So example 1, we've got the sum of 3 consecutive integers is 24, and we're going to find the integers. So first of all, let's talk about how far apart the numbers are. If I have 3 consecutive integers, and I call the first one n, well, how far is it from 1 to the very next one? It's the distance of 1. So my next integer is just going to be n plus 1. And then how far is it from the first one to the third one? It's 2. So that becomes n plus 2. So we're going to use these 3 expressions to represent the 3 integers. Now, if you look at the problem, it says the sum of 3 consecutive integers. Sum means what operation? I'm adding. Very good. So I am going to add those all together. So n and n and n means I have 3n. 1 plus 2 is 3. So the sum, 3n plus 3, that represents the sum. And what do we put for the word is? An equal sign. And then finally we have 24, so that has to equal 24. So 3n plus 3 equals 24. Now it's just a two-step equation. We subtract 3 from both sides. I have 3n is equal to 21. So I divide by 3. And I get that n is equal to 7. Now, am I done with the problem? Have I found all 3 integers? No, I haven't. So what you have to do is you go and you plug it back in. So if I go back over, I take my n equals 7 and I'm going to plug it back in over here to each of these expressions. So my first one, n, is just 7. 7 plus 1 is 8. 7 plus 2 is 9. So my final answer is 7, 8, and 9. And of course you can double check to make sure that 7 plus 8 plus 9 equals 24, and it does. 7 plus 8 is 15, plus 9 is 24. So, why was 7 afraid of 8? 79, haha. Okay, so on your whiteboards, I want, because 7, 8, 9? 9 got eaten by, yeah. All right, here we go. Okay, so the sum, this one's for your whiteboards. Let's bring it back down. Thank you. The sum of 3 consecutive integers is 45. Find the integers. All right, so I want you guys to give that one a try on your whiteboards. Looks like most of you got the answer right. You should have gotten 14, 15, and 16. Okay, now we're going to have a problem. We've got the sum of 4 consecutive integers. So I'm adding more than 3 this time. I'm adding 4. And it's negative 46. And you want to find the integers. You want to make sure that you are careful when the sum is negative. You're going to the right on the number line, so be really careful with that. Okay, so like I said, this time we have 4. So my first one is n. The next one is n plus 1. The next one is n plus 2. What is the fourth one going to be? N plus 3. Okay? If we did 5, it would be n plus 4. If there were 6, then we'd go to n plus 5, and so on. Okay, so you guys see the pattern? Okay. Most of your problems are just going to be 2, 3, or 4, though. So, anyway, all right, so when I take the sum of those and add them together, I get 4n plus 6. And that's going to have to equal negative 46. Okay, so we're still going to do the problem the same. It's when you plug it back in that you need to be careful. So 4n plus 6 equals negative 46. And of course, you need to be careful with your negatives too. Don't drop them. Don't mix up what to do with them. So we get 4n equals negative 52. They're both negative, so we add them together. And then we divide by 4. And yes, n would equal negative 13. Okay, so again, don't drop that negative sign. It's part of the answer. So now I take that negative 13 and I come over here and I plug it in. So n is negative 13. If I take negative 13 plus 1, it's negative 12. Okay, negative 13 plus 2 is negative 11. And negative 13 plus 3 would be negative 10. So in this case, it's negative 13, negative 12, negative 11, negative 10. So again, be careful when it's negative. You're going to be tempted to keep counting up, but when it's negative, it's like you're counting down, right? Even though really they are increasing in value. Okay, any questions on that one? All right, so I'm going to have one for you guys to do yourselves on your whiteboards. We're going to find, here we have the sum of 4 consecutive integers. This time is negative 98. Find the integers. The sum of 4 consecutive integers is negative 98. Find the integers. All right, so you did 4n plus 6 was equal to negative 98 this time, and looks like most of you got it. It was negative 26, negative 25, negative 24, and negative 23. Are there questions? All right, now we're going to do one that's a little different. We're going to have to translate this word for word. So, the sum of the least and the greatest of 3 consecutive integers is 26. What is the middle integer? So, first of all, we've got 3 integers. So that means I've got n plus 1, and n plus 2. Then it says the sum of the least and the greatest. Which one of these is going to be the least? The n plus 1, or the n plus 2? N is going to be the least, right? So this one's my least. And which one's going to be the greatest? N plus 2. So when I see the word sum, that means I am adding. So I'm doing the least plus the greatest. And that's going to equal what? 26. Okay, so now I just put the expressions in for the least. The least is n. The greatest was n plus 2. And that has to equal 26. So if I combine my like terms, I have 2n plus 2 is equal to 26. I subtract 2 from both sides. I get the 2n is equal to 24. And then we just divide by 2. So n would equal 12. All right, so then going back, we got 12, 13, and 14. So it says, what is the middle integer is what it's asking me. My answer would be 13, because that's the middle integer. Okay? So you need to pay attention to what the question is asking you and make sure you answer the question asked. Okay. The answer for this would be 13. Yes. So we have one of these for you guys to do on your whiteboards. I know you want to do this. Okay, so we're going to do find 3 consecutive integers. So that means we're going to find all 3 of them, okay? Three consecutive integers such that the sum of the least and twice the greatest is 31. Okay, so yes, I'm saying this time I'm saying twice the greatest, so I'm going to have to do 2 times the greatest. What did we say the greatest was? N plus 2. So I'm going to have to do 2 times that plus the least, and that's going to equal 31. Okay, so before you solve the whole thing, show me how you're going to set this one up, and just make sure that you've got it set up right before you go through and do it all. Okay, so if you're struggling to set it up, could you please pay attention? Thank you. All right, so we've got n, n plus 1, and n plus 2. Okay, the sum of the least, we said the least, and 2 times the greatest, right? So the least was n, and 2 times the greatest, now I just have to put it in parentheses, 2 times n plus 2. Okay? Or I saw another person that wrote, they wrote the greatest 2 times. That works too. N plus 2 plus n plus 2. That works as well. Okay? So that's where you start, one of those 2, and solve from there. Okay, so you should have gotten that n was equal to 9, and then when you plug it back in, you get 9, 10, and 11 as the final answer.